The Trading Bell, brought to you by Mastercard.
Welcome to the Trading Bell Show. I'll be speaking to Mark Elliott, the Division President, Mastercard Sub-Saharan Africa. He's going to elaborate to us what the mandate is in enabling the ecosystem. But first, let's take a look at his profile, then get into the conversation. Mark Elliott is the Division President, Sub-Saharan Africa at Mastercard, leading the team that is expanding payments, extending services and embracing new networks across the region. He's responsible for the overall performance, strategic direction and brand development of the division, which comprises of three clusters, namely Southern Africa, East Africa and West Africa. Mark thrives on identifying new strategies and partnerships to scale the latest technologies in payment, driving financial inclusion and enabling SMEs to grow, which is a passion point for both himself and Mastercard as a business. Mark joined Mastercard Dubai in 2011 as Global Products and Solutions Lead for Middle East and Africa region before moving to South Africa to take up country management responsibilities. Prior to Mastercard, he worked at Barclays Group, London. He started his career as a chartered accountant at Arthur Andersen, London, before moving to PwC and ING Baring, Hong Kong, with a focus on financial institutions, M&A. Mark Elliott, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's good to have you here. And one of the curious things that people would probably want to know, especially people who want to interact with you for the first time, is they have probably interacted with the logo quite some number of times. Maybe it's in their cards and the likes. But it's important to understand you leading here in Sub-Saharan Africa. What are you doing here as your mandate in Africa?
So our mandate is to really drive the strategy of Mastercard across Sub-Saharan Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And what that means is that in all of our countries, I guess we have a mandate and also a social responsibility to provide digital access to Mastercard financial tools, which we also make available to our customers. And we work on a B2B basis and also on a B2B2C basis.
Okay. When we talk about Sub-Saharan Africa, what are we talking about in terms of range?
So Sub-Saharan Africa, in our definition, is about 30 countries. We have a Francophone cluster, which is separate.
Okay.
And we just keep it separate because of the customer servicing, etc., languages.
All right.
So yes, 30 countries.
Okay. Let's talk about the current state of the financial ecosystem in Kenya and even in the region that you are mandated to look over. What would you say is the current state of the financial ecosystem?
Wow. So I think the financial ecosystem, geopolitically, your listeners and readers can know more about the geopolitical situation globally than we do. And that's well documented. I think what's important for us at Mastercard in terms of payments is that it remains that there's still a lot of cash out there. Across Africa, it's still about 99% cash. So as a strategy, what we're trying to do is to displace that cash.
Yeah.
And the way we do that is that we identify big cash pools, and then we think about what are the problems that lie underneath those cash pools, and how can we help work with partners to electronify those cash pools and bring through new solutions to our customers. And I'd say that in Africa, it's plentiful in terms of opportunity, and in East Africa, we've got our eye on a bunch of different things, and that's why it's important to work with government, with telco, and with fintech.
Okay. Let's talk about, in the same ecosystem, challenges and opportunities that you see. What is this that you're still really calling off as your headwinds when it comes to implementation and persons having access to the services that you're offering?
Coming back to what I was saying before, I think what we're always trying to do is we're trying to focus in on the customer experience with our partners.
Yeah.
And ultimately, we're trying to give our customers in that experience simple, secure experiences which continue to be more and more innovative and roll with new technologies. And I'd say that, personally in your personal life, there are some experiences which are quite clunky, and there are other things which you wish you could do, but you can't. And so our job is to work with our partners to figure out how to help in that space. And we've got lots of examples if you're interested.
Okay.
I'm actually interested in that, by the way. So, in fact, I wanted to ask you to share some insights into Mastercard's contribution and initiatives that have played that significant role in the development of Kenya's economic financial ecosystem. And if you have an example there, throw it in.
Sure. So I think if we think about Mastercard's focus in East Africa and more broadly, as I said, it's about including a billion consumers into the financial ecosystem in short order, but with a specific focus on SME and also women.
Yeah.
And so, when I think about how we then have established ourselves in East Africa, it's really about looking at where we can lean in and work with some of those constituents. So,
Yeah.
let's take the SME for example.
Yeah.
So the SME would like to build their business. They'd like to have an opportunity maybe to avail credit at some point in the future. But at the moment, they're just accepting cash. So what we need to do is we need to identify low-cost acceptance solutions, which we can make available, which are attractively priced and going to be easy to use, a good customer experience. And the way in which we put those in place is we think about whether there's policy, whether the government's going to allow those kind of low-cost solutions to work or not.
Yeah.
And so in Kenya, what we've done recently is we've launched QR codes, and we've done that really in collaboration with the government. And what that's enabled us to do is then to provide the SME with an ability to accept electronic payments in a simple and easy manner that's actually secure. So that's a great way in which we kind of provide a more inclusive acceptance and uplift the SME. Now, the beauty of that is that once an SME starts to have more transactional data, that then allows a bank to see that data and to lend against it. So if you think about it, there's a starting point over here of working with government.
Yes.
Then there's the actual proof point of enabling a low-cost acceptance.
Yeah.
But downstream, what you're doing is you're enabling credit and the growth of that business.
Okay. Lovely there. And let's talk about partnerships, because I believe you cannot do this by yourself.
Yeah.
Are you partnering with local banks to enable you access these particular customers we're talking about?
Yeah, of course. So we work with banks, fintechs, etc. So in the banking space here in Kenya, we've got excellent relationships with Equity Bank, with DTB, with KCB, etc. And really what we're trying to do there is we're trying to understand what their strategies are and where they're trying to provide improved experiences. Sometimes that's in the e-commerce experience where customers want to spend more time with subscription services and the like. But, what we also have to think about is consumers who potentially are looking for alternative credit methods, embedded finance, as you probably know. And so there where we're working with fintechs like Lipa Later. Lipa Later's buy now, pay later.
Right. Yeah.
And so working with fintechs like that, what we can do is we could provide embedded finance type options alongside installments and other options to the consumers.
Lovely. Let's talk about your vision for creating a sustainable digital economy in Kenya. What are you looking at in your offering?
So in my vision at the moment, quite frankly, is that I want to build out acceptance. So places where people can accept Mastercard. I think we've got a strong roadmap now to increase our acceptance by up to 15 times over the next couple of years. And what that will do is it means that there'll be more places to pay with your Mastercard.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely critical if we're going to provide better experiences for people, holding form factor with our brand. I think there's also an amazing opportunity to build out e-commerce so that it's more available and accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
And also I think we need to give people more options to pay, right? So it is about credit card, but Mastercard is also very involved in other form factors, but also other flows. So, we're also looking at crypto. We look at business to business payments. We have a very strong capability in the remittances space. And so, we can talk about any of those, but, we do that either from a solution perspective, i.e. the platform or the business, but also from a services perspective. So we have an amazing array of services, which again, back to the experience, are about ensuring that fraud doesn't happen. And ultimately banks are able to make real-time decisions so that they improve their approval rates.
Wow. let's talk about also any specific ongoing projects you have, especially here in Kenya. I know you have quite an array of countries that you have to, but here in Kenya, do you have any projects currently and you undertaking to support this particular sustainable and digital economy?
Look, I mean, just further afield from what we've just discussed around QR code, what we're also doing is working with government in places like digitizing national parks. So there's a huge opportunity to all the tourists that come in here and have a good time. We need to kind of figure out a way that we can actually electronify the parks so it's easier to collect the various payments that they need to make. So I think that's a great example. We're also working with the ICT ministry to understand projects which we can work on with them in the e-government space. And then I spoke earlier about QR code and the opportunity to take the standard which the government has put through and really pull that into society and enable SMEs to grow their businesses.